Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go on a sharpening adventure. I've only sharpened a handful of M390 blades, and today we've got the WE 702 to sharpen up. It's got a nice flat on it right here, so it's going to be easy to get up in the jig, or up in our clamp. And there we go. To get our saran wrap around it. This thing's got a nice big sharpening tool. It's going to make this a little easier. That is one of the things to notice about most all of the WE knives is they have listened, or they already knew, I don't know. And we rarely get a WE knife where the edge terminates on the plunge grind. It almost always terminates in front of the plunge grind with whatever shape of choil they've got to put on there. And that's a beautiful thing. Makes sharpening these things so much easier. Anyhow, let's get to our 1500 grit stone and our Sharpie and find out where we put this bevel. Alright, let's find out where we're at. They have this bevel on here at about 23 degrees, which, you know, is probably about right for the thickness of the blade and for the short secondary bevel, but that's just not going to do. We don't need a hatchet, we need a knife. Now, don't take that wrong, guys. That thing is going to cut just fine for you and hold an edge for a very long time at around 20, 21, 22 degrees. But I'm a little pickier. I like to have a bevel I can work with and do some semi-fine slicing. So we're going to take that back to 19 degrees, and as we sharpen, what that's going to do is allow me to be able to put a 21 degree micro bevel on it if I need to. Now, this is M390 steel, so I may not need to do that. It's got a lot of wear resistance, a lot of impact resistance, so it may not be necessary, but it is going to cause for reprofiling. And to reprofile this knife, what we're going to do is start with a 50 grit stone, and I'm going to work to my arm sore. We're going to flip it over and work to my arm sore again, or something thereabouts, back and forth on both sides, and it's probably going to take a little while. So this section may get cut out, and it'll definitely be moving in a hurry. Alright, that took a while, but we've got it reprofiled. We're at 50 grit, and for once we are going to check sharpness at 50 grit. I always forget, but here we go. It's not real sharp. We got a bit of a burr on there from as much work as I did to it, but we are sharp at 50 grit. So we're going to move on along, on through the grits, and get her shined up. Alright guys, I know this is going quick for you, but I'm about 40 minutes in, and I'm just now getting to the 140 stone. Reprofiling this M390 is tough. The abrasion resistance and the hardness level here is pretty impressive. It's been a long time since I had messed with M390. In fact, it was Benchmade. I don't remember the number on the Benchmade. It was the last one I sharpened in M390. And oh wow, I don't think I had to reprofile that one, but I decided to reprofile here, and that is going to make it take a while to get it sharp. But once we get up to about 300 grit, things generally speed up. So hopefully we'll be in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and finish up here with 140, and I'll catch up with you again whenever we get to 300. Alright guys, we have made it to 300 grit, and I'm having to do a lot of cleanup at 300 grit. This is where this steel is starting to clear up some, and you can really see all the lines from the previous stones. The M390 is an interesting steel to sharpen because, you know, it is hard and it's very abrasion resistant. I forget what all the actual numbers are, but it's pretty impressive. So it clears later than a lot of steels as far as being able to really see your lines from sharpening. And I don't know if we can do this or not, but I'm going to try to get the get this in here. I don't think it's going to help us much, but we'll try it. See how well you can see that, but as I go across here at 300 grit, I'm actually able to see the grain and the scratch marks start to move around some, where at 50, 100, and even 140, it was really hard to see on this steel, and that's just the nature of the game. Sometimes a steel, you'll be able to see it right away, you know, and you would think you'd be able to see it at the lower grits because they make bigger scratch marks, right? Well, it's not always the case. And M390, like I said, it's an interesting steel. It's a great steel, but it's not one you want to sharpen every day. I give kudos to guys like the Apostle P that only charge $5 extra to sharpen stuff like this. Because, whoo, I could never do it for only $5 more than, say, 420HC or S35VN or something like that, because it is much, much harder to sharpen. But, as you can see, we're starting to get things cleared up. I want to finish up with 300, and then we'll be back again at 600. Okay, we are almost done with 600 grit, and wow. I had forgotten M390. It has taken quite a while. I'm almost an hour in, and I haven't been dilly-dallying around. I've been at it pretty constantly. Now, if I hadn't reprofiled it, we'd probably cut that time in half, maybe more. But I wanted to bring it back to where we'd have a good slicing edge. So anyhow, this is where we're at now. You know, and you can see we're starting to get a little bit of that shine there on the secondary bevel where we're working, and starting to look pretty good. But you can also see down below all the steel we've had to take away. So anyhow, we're going to move on up to 1500 grit, and hopefully this thing starts to shine. Okay, so I went ahead and went through 1500 grit, and as we can see, we're starting to get a mirror up here. It's looking pretty darn good. I'm going to go ahead and get the lapping films out, and the dogs are trying to find their bone up by the trash can. Anyhow, I'm going to get the lapping films out, and hopefully this thing comes out good. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've done M390, so hopefully I remember what I'm doing. Be right back with you. Alright, the dogs are eating, and we're taking after it with a 9-micron lapping film. And I can slowly see things starting to come together. This is one of those we may take all the way down to that finest lapping film. Just have to see how things work out. And here we go, guys. I just went through 9-micron, and man, it is already shining up really, really nice. Now, there is one thing with M390, and I don't know if we'll be able to get it on camera to see it, is where some of your steels, like Aus 8 especially, S35VN's fairly decent. S30V is just unbelievable in the shine level, in the actual mirror polish level you can get. And M390 is very, very good, but it's not quite to those levels. But man, this thing I think is going to turn out extremely sharp. And we got, there's a couple of, well, I'll let you see if you can find, whenever we're done, I'll put the knife right up there where the camera can see it really, really well, and see if you can find the little mishaps or places I missed as we were going through the grits. There's a couple on one side of the blade that to me are pretty obvious. I don't know if that'd be obvious to you, but you know, I've been doing this for a while, so I see that stuff. But anyhow, this is 6 micron, and I think it's going to come out pretty nice. I can already tell you I've got a little bit of a tip issue. It's not bad. It's got just a little bit of a dip in it that may make it, the mirror, be just a wee bit funny. Won't affect the knife in use, but we'll see. It may not show up at all. Anyhow, that was 6 micron. I'm going to go ahead and move through 3 micron. And like I said, with this steel, we'll probably go down all the way to 0.1 micron, but I'm not going to make you guys suffer through that. I'll cut the video here and pick it back up whenever we're done. Okay, we have finished up with the stones, and we've got a nice mirror finish, and it came out better than I thought it was going to. The last time I did M390, I didn't get that super bright mirror finish, and there's the hyena in the background, or Chloe. Mom just got home, and she is really upset. Anyhow, I'll get this thing out of here, give it a bit of a strop, and then we'll get a look at it. So there we are, guys. We are all mirrored up. Come out really, really nice. I'm really liking what happened with this M390. It's some tough stuff to sharpen, but here, let me back the camera out a little bit so you see that. This stuff holds a super fine edge. Anyhow, guys, appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me while we sharpen up the WE 702. And one thing I did want to mention, we'll back up for just a moment. You can see how that bevel gets wider down there at the tip, the sharpened bevel. Well, that is due to the way this blade is ground and using a fixed angle sharpener. Now, if I sent it over to Jeff Jewell and he did it all by hand, we would probably get a much more even secondary bevel, but I don't have the skill Mr. Jewell has. I have to use the fixed angle stuff. But irregardless, it's still plenty sharp. As a guy on Forged in Fire would say, it will cut. And you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.